Welcome back, everybody. We're here at the Campus Agricultural Center here in Tucson with Goggy Davidowitz. The center hosts a number of outreach and cooperative extension and research facilities. But Goggy, can you tell us a little bit about this facility and what we're doing here today?
Sure. I'm a professor of entomology in the Department of Entomology at the University of Arizona. And in this facility, we're growing insects as a source of protein for food and feed for people and livestock. Our research focuses on using waste streams. So what normally ends up in the landfill, we catch it, process it, and feed it to insects, and then produce protein from those insects. This, for example, is compost made from dairy cow manure. Over here is compost that we made from food waste. Here, waste from mushrooms that's just drying out here. And behind me is the wood chips from landscaping waste. So right here we have an example of 4 different kinds of waste streams that we use to grow insects.
So here we are in the beetle room with a lot of the team here at the insect rearing facility. Can we go around the circle and just tell the audience a little bit about who you are and then show us around the lab?
My name's Josh. I'm one of the undergrads who works here at the lab. I am a senior who is getting a double major in ecology and evolutionary biology and bioinformatics.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Daniel Clark. I'm a U of A alumnus from Eller College of Management, and I'm the CEO of Hexafeast LLC, which is a startup that's using intellectual property that was developed right here in the entomology lab at the University of Arizona. And we're aiming to utilize waste streams to grow insects as a solution for unsustainable feed and food. So in light of that, we're hoping to change these industries to make them operate in a closed loop manner that's better for everybody.
Hi, I'm Hunter Clark. I'm a research technician here at the Insects as Food and Feed Initiative at the University of Arizona. I'm also the COO of Hexafeast and one of the head rearing and husbandry people here at the Insects as Food and Feed Initiative in the beetle room. I'll show you a little bit of what we're doing. These are the fig beetles. We call them Cotinus. And one of the unique things about these guys is we can rear them on manure compost. Currently we have, typically we have about 30 to 40,000 of these in the lab right now.
30 to 40,000.
30 to 40,000. It's a lot of mouths to feed. Here's another waste stream that we're rearing these guys on. These are spent beer grains that were brewed right here in Tucson at 1055 Brewery downtown. And once they're dried down, these beer grains are ready to feed and our beetles seem to love them.
Wow, that's really cool. And what's in these boxes over here?
This is another project that we have going. This is with the desert stink beetles. As you can see in here. These are very common in around Tucson, very common in desert areas. And we're trying to see how we can utilize them to produce protein in desert areas that normally can't sustain agriculture. So if we can make this work, it will be pretty significant in light of climate change and a lot more of the planet heating up and becoming deserts.
So what are these, Goggy?
These are the pupa of the fig beetles that we saw before. And so when they pupate, their gut is empty. So these are ready for people to eat. We would grind them up and turn them into a powder. And again, this you can add into cereals, into pastas, into bread flours, and things like that.
All right, so here we are in the mealworm room where Goggy and his team are doing some really fascinating things with mealworms. Goggy, would you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing and show us around?
Sure. So here we're growing mealworms, and I'll show you the mealworms in a second. And mealworms have been grown for decades now, mostly as food for the exotic pet industry, like lizards, birds, chickens, and also as fish feed. So there's a huge amount of information out there on how to grow mealworms. Typically, the industry standard of growing mealworms is to grow them on wheat bran, which is a people food. So you're using people food to grow people food. Our focus is slightly different. We're focusing on using waste streams to grow insects. So here, for example, is this is mostly lettuce and chard. So we're taking food waste that would typically go into the landfill, and we're processing this and we're growing mealworms with it. In the United States, 40% of all the food that's produced ends up in the landfill. So we're trying to intercept these waste streams and use them to make food. So over here, you can see the mealworms that we're growing. If you look here, this is what the mealworms are. This is what we're growing. Right now, we're growing them on wheat bran simply because of issues of the COVID. We can't do the experiments with the food waste, but normally that's what's going on in here. And over here, I'm gonna introduce you to Holly Cope. Holly is my master student, and Holly, you can tell them what you do.
Currently, I have just finished an experiment looking at the best food to feed the mealworms, and right now I am checking for survivorship, measuring weights, and looking at molts.
What degree program are you in, Holly?
I am in the EIS, the Entomology and Insect Science program. I originally came to the university in my undergraduate as a communication major, and by taking a gen ed course, that's how I got involved in entomology, and I carried it through. Now I'm pursuing a master's.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you.
So what are we looking at here, Goggy?
These are mealworms that we harvested, and we're ready to sell them. So these are they're stored right now in the freezer. We're going to roast them and then sell them.
How do people eat them in this form? Do they just eat them as is, or do they go into things?
These typically, they're eaten as whole insects. So they're sprinkled on tacos, on salads, on the bar. So we're working with the bar who wants to sell these. So these particularly are going to be sold as whole insects. But other parts of the industry, they're going to sell them. We grind it up into a powder and it's added as an ingredient, like to pasta, to bread flour, things like that.
Very cool. Well, we'll have to get mealworm tacos after this.